Well, as it turned out, it was an offer he could refuse. What's up, everybody? I'm Jim Rodriguez, and welcome to a new week here on Dodgers Latest. So happy you're with us as you have made this show continue to grow. So please continue to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, hit those thumbs up buttons. The viewer counts are growing, and that's because of you, because you're the very best part of Dodgers Latest. So yeah, and you can hit me up right there as usual on Instagram and on X at JRod Show. And of course, love all the comments. And yeah, we'll be hitting you up. You've got plenty to say about Kyle Tucker. We'll get into that as we get into this latest edition of Dodgers Latest. But we wanted to sort of, get rid of all the fallout and kind of go over everything. Of course, Tucker signs with the Dodgers 4 years, $240 million, 60 per, second biggest contract in the history of baseball. Of course, his teammate Shohei Ohtani had a 10-year, $700 million deal with the Dodgers. But, 4 years, 60 per, that's not too bad. But it's what he didn't accept from the other teams that were involved that really kind of grabs and shakes your head. He turned down a 10-year deal, did Kyle Tucker, from the Blue Jays. It turns out, according to some reports out there, it was a 10-year, $350 million deal. That's 35 per year with the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's funny because, man, the Blue Jays, they lost out on Shohei. They lost out on Sasaki. Of course, now they lose out on Kyle Tucker. And, of course, they lost to the Dodgers in the World Series. Tough to be a Blue Jay fan, but they have stocked up and they are ready to make another run of it. Another team that lost out to this was the Mets, whose offer to Tucker was 4 years, $220, about 55 per year. The signing bonus reportedly was higher than the Dodgers, but overall the total numbers was 4 years at $220, 55 per year. He ends up signing with the Dodgers at 60 per year. And the only thing that I could possibly think of is, listen, a 10-year deal at $350 is obviously more than he's making with the Dodgers, but really isn't that much more. And I get it. You're going to say, what are you talking about? That's almost $100 million more. That's over $100 million more. But when you look at it as this, if the 10-year deal with the Blue Jays, you're locked in. Okay, he's 20, he's 29 years old. That's it. It's probably his last deal in the big leagues. With the Dodger deal, he can opt out after year 2 and after year 3. So let's say he opts out after year 2. So he's already pocketed $120 million. Maybe he's won an MVP. Maybe the Dodgers have won another World Series. Now you can go back at 31, age 31, and try to go on the free agent market again. Now you're probably going to get a 5-year deal. But if you were able to get 60 and be an MVP, win a World Series, maybe you're going to get 65. Maybe you're going to get $70 million over 5 years. So all of a sudden that he'll get that same amount of money that Toronto offered, $350 on the next contract, plus the $120 million he's already made. So at the end of the day, you're always gambling on yourself, and you should always gamble on yourself. It's an interesting situation, especially with those opt-outs. And at the end of the day, the Dodgers got their guy, their right fielder. That outfield right now, if it's Teoscar in left, Pages in center, and Tucker in right, dude, that's 100 home run outfield possibly. Dodgers are going to be a problem, as usual, in the National League West. Now, here's a funny thing. Are the Dodgers done? Well, if you hear some rumors, the Dodgers are still in on picking up pitcher Freddy Peralta from the Brewers. Now you're thinking to yourself, how many starters can this damn team have? And I've been the first one to say on the record that you need, to get through a season, you're going to need at least 10, maybe even a dozen starters. They're all not going to go, 200 innings. You're not going to get, 1,000 innings out of your starters, out of a 5-man rotation. That's just not the game of baseball anymore. And, you're going to need guys get hurt, guys aren't performing, whatever it is, you're going to get through 162 games. But the Dodgers, are in the mix for Freddy Peralta. They've already got like a 7-man rotation, it seems like. And they're not the only ones. The Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, and the Braves are also involved. The Yankees just got Ryan Weathers, so I don't know how involved they are really there. The Mets just signed Bo Bichette, so how much money are they going to have to spend? Bichette ended up signing a 3-year, $126 million deal with the Mets. That's $42 per year. The Giants, Who knows? The Giants have turned into the most generic team in baseball, right? What are they doing? They don't really do anything. So that's always thing. And probably the one that moves, the one team that makes the most sense is the Braves to try to round out that rotation. At the end of the day, Freddy Peralta is at the prime of being traded. He's basically in his free agent walk year. It's his last year of his contract before he can become a free agent, and he's only going to make $8 million. $8 million in baseball is nothing these days, and then he becomes a free agent. So here's the thing about Peralta. He was their best pitcher for the Brewers, right? 17-game winner, ERA of 2.70, all-star, pitched in the playoffs for them. And he's only one of 11 pitchers to have made 30 or more starts in each of the last 3 seasons. To give you an idea, the Dodgers last year had one guy make 30 starts, and that was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Nobody else even came close to that. So he is durable. And that's why people want him. Now, the Brewers have said they want in return at least a major league ready starter. Dodgers got plenty of those, especially, when the Emmett Sheehan's, the Robleskis, if you go deep down in the minors, Jackson Ferris. Now, will they trade all this? I don't know. I don't think he's coming to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers just are there to drive the price up. But again, you can't say no anymore with Andrew Friedman because they're just hanging around the backboard, right? And anything is possible with this team. And it brings me to my next point about who is really ruining baseball. They keep saying the Dodgers are ruining baseball and this, that, and the other. And here's the thing. The Dodgers are basically masters at the system. The deferred payments, plus having a very favorable television contract, which allows the Dodgers to spend much more money than anybody else. But at the end of the day, that's good negotiation by the Dodgers. The Dodgers have some crafty people who make great deals for the organization and allow them, on top of being in a big market, on top of having great sponsorship and markets, and it gets players like a Kyle Tucker, like a Shohei Ohtani, who want to come play for the Dodgers. So who's ruining baseball? Is it the Dodgers, who are giving their fan base the players and the ability to not only just be relevant year after year, but actually go to the World Series and win, or a team like the Brewers, who are trading away their best pitcher? The Cincinnati Reds have been talking about trading their best pitchers. These teams are trading away their best pitchers because they don't want to pay them. They feel that the Brewers, for example, feel we just aren't going to be able to sign Freddy Peralta past 2026, so let's just trade him. This team had the best record in baseball. They went to the National League Championship Series. They've had the Manager of the Year the last 2 seasons. The point is, are the Dodgers ruining baseball for trying to win, or are other teams ruining baseball because they don't want to spend the money? And I get it. It's easy to spend somebody else's money. Then, brother, don't go into the game. Don't go invest your money in something else. I agree that the salary cap is crazy, and for some teams it doesn't even matter, right? They're paying a luxury tax, so maybe you do need a salary cap, and trust me, that's going to be the bone of contention, and we're going to have a work stoppage. But you know what? There should be a salary floor as well. There shouldn't be, one player shouldn't be making the most major league teams combined of their whole roster, and that's because teams don't spend money. Teams like the Marlins, like the Pirates, like the Brewers in this sense, they're saying, hey, why should we spend money? We get revenue sharing from baseball. We'll just take the money and we'll pocket it. Now, they're not all doing that. I'm not saying they're all doing that, but the point is they're not spending the money. So instead of getting on the Dodgers for spending money, how about getting on teams that don't spend money? So yeah, while there may be a reason and a need for a salary cap, there is a definite need for a salary floor, a minimum that teams have to spend in order to be able to compete, and they should be penalized for not spending a sufficient amount of money. Now, I get it, and the Dodgers have been the masters at deferred money. Maybe that needs to be overhauled and looked a little bit. Dodgers have a lot of money in deferred money, but they can pay for it. They have the means in terms of sponsorships, in terms of merchandise, in terms of tickets, in terms of winning the World Series the last 2 years. Teams should be striving for that. That's kind of one of the reasons why when they expanded the playoffs, to get you the mindset of owners, players were against expanding the playoffs, when they went to this current system with another wild card. Because why? Because owners are saying, hey, if more teams get into the playoffs, then why am I going to spend more money? As it is now, if I win 80 to 85 games, even if I don't get in the playoffs, I'm playing meaningful games in September. So if I win 78, 80 games and kind of hovering around there, I've got interest in my team in September. So why am I going to spend $400 million to try to be the best team in baseball when I can spend, a third of that, spend 100, or a quarter of it, spend $100 million, win 75 games, and be in the hunt all season long. That's the mentality we're trying to get away from. And I get it. It's easy to spend somebody else's money, but don't get into this game if you're not going to spend money. You're pissing off your fan base. You're pissing off generations of fans, and the game has never been healthier. The attendance is through the roof. The TV numbers are through the roof. Let's take advantage of this and have competitive games. That's why it's going to break my heart when there's a lockout, a work stoppage at the end of the season, but things need to be corrected. And when people say that it's the Dodgers that are ruining baseball, no, it's the teams that aren't spending money. Those are the people that are ruining baseball. All right, be part of the show. You're the very best part here on Dodgers Latest. Always love to hear about it. And, of course, Kyle Tucker has been the discussion point for you guys. And, yeah, after all the rumors, we finally have a legit, solid outfielder. Tuck and right, Teo in left, Pages in center field. We also have Ryan Ward, who plays both corner outfield positions. In summary, outfield locked in, infield locked in, starting rotation, and closer tops in MLB, and our batting lineup can be pitched around. Dodgers are the most dangerous team in MLB for the next few years. Let's go Dodgers, yeah? I'll tell you what, unfortunately, games aren't played on paper. But sure, they definitely have quite the advantage, and they have the depth. I think that's the one thing the Dodgers have gone out of their way to do. So when guys get hurt, and guys definitely get hurt, especially in this game today, they can go into there and not miss a beat. I mean, look at all the games Blake Snell missed last year and Tyler Glasnow missed last year. They were so fresh in the playoffs, which is, something that, again, I think that's part of the strategy. All right, so Kyle Tucker per se, is he worth $60 million? Well, no way he's worth $60 million, but we took him away from the Blue Jays and Mets, and there is something to be said about that. Another one is he is worth $60 million. I don't think money matters for the Dodgers. It doesn't really. They want to win, and they will do whatever it takes. Yeah, I think what the Dodgers do is they know how to spend the money, right? They know where to invest, where not to invest, and they use those resources better than any team in baseball. And, and I think it's one of those things, if you're a Dodger fan and you remember the Frank McCourt era, and you remember, trying to win championships with, the teams they were fielding then, you got to appreciate this, because this is of all the Dodgers, they've been playing baseball, and maybe going back to the Brooklyn days, or when they were going to the World Series seemingly every year and playing the Yankees. This is the golden era of Dodger baseball. We should be very grateful, very happy that we're in this era. We get to celebrate and not just talking about, hey, hope we make the playoffs this year. Dodgers are getting to that point now, or at that point where we got to win the World Series. It's World Series or bust, and that's a high bar, but it's a great place to be. And a great place to be is right here on Dodgers Latest. So happy you're with us. Remember to hit me up, X and Instagram, and of course, right here on our YouTube channel. Continue to like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend. You are making this grow, and we appreciate it every day. Yeah, spring training right around the corner. A couple of weeks away. Spring training games, World Baseball Classic, and of course, opening day, March 26th at Dodger Stadium. It's the Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm Jim Rodriguez. So happy you're with us, and remember, nobody's ruining baseball. Certainly not in LA. And it's always time for Dodger baseball.